1-minute videos, $1 a day, topic wheel, right? Content library. Do those things. Don't forget those 3 things. Okay, there's no PowerPoint presentation, so anything here that you find that's interesting, you're going to have to either write down or take a picture on your phone. I would recommend taking pictures on your phone. All right, we do have some guides that we've printed out, and you'll see that there's various screenshots of these. There's the one-pager that will show you. There's all these different things. Like this is the main one that we printed out for you, but we're going to go real fast. We're going to cover 3 days worth of content in 1 hour. All right? This is Jason Miller. We were with him yesterday in London, and he runs global content marketing for LinkedIn. And we know that the power of influencer marketing or word of mouth or lead gen or inbound marketing or growth hacking is you leverage the power of whoever has the most authority. So if I said, hey, these are Dennis's 10 tips on how do you do LinkedIn marketing, who cares? But what has the most power is if you've got the most authoritative person saying the most authoritative content on the most authoritative property. So we made a course together with Jason on how do you do LinkedIn marketing. And we started by being on LinkedIn's podcast, the Sophisticated Marketers podcast, with me and Logan. And this got such good feedback. And then, of course, when other people are introducing you, when other people are talking about you, they're saying very positive things. When you take these positive mentions and you put them into your content library, then you're able to build up power over time and you're able to boost them. So today we're going to talk about how do you build this content library of all of the different endorsements, of all the articles that you're producing, of all of the mentions that you have, that you boost from your public figure page for $1 a day, ideally using 1-minute videos. Okay, we're going to tie all of those items together. When you take people that are famous, let's say this is Josh Fector. We made a course with him on growth hacking. You're going to see this in a couple months. And this is, remember, the power comes from other people's words, not what you have to say. Who gives a shit about what you have to say? Spent yesterday with the Facebook king, Dennis Yu, and his right-hand man, Logan Young. Had a blast talking about Facebook marketing, the future of advertising, lots of likes, comments, and shares. Take this, and then you share this from your public figure page. The key is you're sharing what someone else says about you. But the inception, you guys know the movie Inception? The dream inside the dream, inside the dream. And the whole idea of playing chess where you're playing 7, 8, 9 moves ahead. You're already implanting the ideas inside this guy's head. So you're 5 or 6 steps ahead. And we knew this because you have to play several years in advance. So these are our conversations with Josh Fector. You guys know Josh Fector, right? And we've spoken at the events, we've interviewed him, we've made series of videos. We have a process for how we produce these videos. So here it is. Here's one of the videos. Here he's talking about a story on how do you become an expert? How do you make your first $1 million? How do you overcome, not have any money? How do you do whatever it is? And when you interview these other experts, and then you put them on their public figure pages or on your public figure page, not just your business page, but your public figure page, not your user profile, your public figure page, and you boost these videos, that's how you generate custom audiences. That's how you're able to build remarketing audiences at scale. So it's not just trying to collect someone's email off of a lead magnet. That's something you actually do much later, because inception occurs before they ever realize that they've already been incepted. A great magician has already performed a trick before you even realized he's done it. So when you put together tons and tons of this material and you're able to boost it, then you're able to pull off things like this. And you start to get momentum very easily. You guys have heard about contributors? Here's one on entrepreneur. 10 personal branding experts to follow this year. Blah, 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 blah. People think Forbes, Entrepreneur, CNN, Wall Street Journal. They say, oh, wow, this is really impressive, right? Or maybe they go to some other place, maybe, here's Influencive. Or there's, growth, all the different, whatever your niche is. You don't have to do this on growth hacking sites. You don't have to do this on VC sites. If you've raised an A round, maybe you need to do that to impress the people that gave you some money, to show you're not wasting it. But there's certain verticals that you want to be able to dominate. And when you are able to put things like this, so this is the number 2 or 3 article on Influencive against all these other guys that are high profile, 7,600 shares. But the way and this is an article I wrote, But the way you get this perceived influence is you take these posts and you boost it. When you see these share bars, these counts you can influence by boosting posts. And then when you have articles like this that are out, let's say, for example, that we want to sell software to small businesses to automate marketing automation. Maybe we want to do something with Guy of Autopilot, right? Because Guy was smart and he hired Josh to work on these things. Or let's say we're Autopilot and we want to get lots of people using our software, and maybe Infusionsoft is, let's say, a competitor. Maybe HubSpot, Marketo, competitors. Maybe not, too expensive, right? And then we write an article, as I did here. Everything we're showing you here is by direct example, and we've done these things hundreds of times. This is not a fluke, right? So you write these articles and you actually share what you're doing. You share what's working. When you do this, you take this post and then you boost it from your business page or public figure page to the audience that you want to incept. You are sharing someone else's content. Well, it's your content. It's on someone else's site, okay? This is how you generate, and then of course you have links in here to all the other articles that you've written. Here's another one. How do you boost posts? Now this is on Digital Marketer. This is where you create real power because you're constantly linking from authority to authority. And almost never does it go to your site until you're ready to sell something, or you're collecting an email, or you want to do a certain kind of remarketing sequence. But to get power off of these, you've got to be able to amplify and build. And a lot of people think it's just advertising, or they're so busy building content they don't know how to amplify off of this. So we use plugins like CrowdTangle, which is free. You guys heard of CrowdTangle? Right? And this shows us where the top shares are occurring. Mari Smith and Infusionsoft themselves, of course. This is the size of their fan base. And then these are links to where people are sharing that kind of content. When people are sharing this content, look, so this one got 33 likes, 14 shares, right? Then you have to reply to them saying, oh, thank you very much, this is great. And you want to continue that conversation because you're going to continue to place that inside your library of all the people that are saying positive things about you and about your content. And that's how you get leverage. Instead of making things from scratch every time, when you find one of these things, when you put out something that's amazing, and then on Twitter someone says, wow, this is so good, then you say, wow, can I thank you, can I quote you on that? Right? You're always and you can have a VA, you can have a young adult, you can have software that helps you do this, collect this. And a lot of people may know that behind my Twitter and Facebook are real people that are doing this, that know where I am, that know our content, that know what we're up to, and thus they're constantly monitoring this, right? So here, Growth Tribe, 3 minutes ago, and if they say something positive, then we'll say, wow, thank you so much. Here's another one, why I'm not an influencer, right? So there's all of these articles. And when you want to win in a market, you have to do the exact opposite of what people would expect. Right? If you're overt and you say, oh, come buy my stuff, we have the best software that does a certain thing, then you've ruined it because you're so direct. You're like that person where, who interrupts and is that rude person always trying to sell, right? You don't want to be that person. You want to incept through other people's words on other people's sites where you have the highest authority that you boost, because no one would think that you would pay money to boost someone else's website. That's just not what people think. And Facebook is the easiest way to trick people on this. Look at this, why I am not an influencer. Well, other people call me once, so I go the opposite. I say, I'm not an influencer. And then I go ahead and I show all the things that I've done and all the places that I've been. And then, of course, I turn it around by saying this is what it actually means, and I quote other people. When you quote other people and you make them look good, you're actually building your influence because you are acting like a journalist. Right? You're building the highest authority because you're not talking about yourself. You always have other people talk about yourself. So when you see who are the top 10 personal branding experts, number 1, Leonard Kim. Well, let's go look for Leonard Kim. We have admin, right? Here's his public figure page. Guess what? We're boosting articles from him. He's boosting articles from us. We are all circular, cross-referring each other, not for SEO reasons, but because this is where you have the highest authority. You always want to have someone else talk about you. We run everything inside Business Manager. You should become an expert in Business Manager that ties together ads, apps, all of these things. So when Leonard says something amazing, 25 marketing influencers, right, we're going to boost that. He writes an article about something that mentions us, we're going to boost that. I will write articles in his name that talk about us, and boost that. But we're writing as if Leonard was. So you have to really, you get confused sometimes because like, oh yeah, I'm writing an article from his voice, but I'm really writing about myself. So I'm talking about myself in the third person. Oh, well, Dennis Yu, when he first did this happened, and then this other thing happened, right? And then you've got to be able to maintain this. And if you're doing this across multiple pages, think about what that looks like, right? So we'll go to Mark Lack. Mark Lack is the Tony Robbins, the young Tony Robbins, right? Here he is, he's famous. We have this inside business manager, sometimes multiple business managers. And he's so good at interviewing people, interviewing, Tony Robbins and Damon John and Richard Branson and all these sorts of people, right? He's very good. I don't know anybody that can talk as well as this guy. He should probably be a televangelist. And here he's interviewing Tai Lopez. You heard of Tai Lopez? Yeah? 145,000 views off of 177 reach. That's, 85%? You guys do the math. Really high, right? This is more than a 1-minute video. It's a 7-minute video. Let's look at some of the stats. This has generated tons and tons of influence for him. You want to pin your top video, by the way. Average watch time, 55 seconds. The average on Facebook is 6 seconds. The average view-through rate is 30%. So here, this is not a PowerPoint. We're live, okay? Something bad could happen. Messages will pop up. 177,000 reach, and we got 145,000 to stay and become a video view. The average is 30%. We're more than double. When you have signals like this, when your engagement rate is really high, 16,000 post clicks off of 145, this is north of 10%. We're looking for 10% engagement rate on our posts. When these things are hot, then we're going to boost them for $1 a day. That's how we produce power. You've got to find a winner. The idea of $1 a day is you're doing lots and lots of testing. The idea of failing fast, doing lots of experiments, is you're okay with taking many shots on goal because you're going to airball a lot of them, but all you need is 1 or 2 of these that does well. And when you do, then all the magic happens. Oh, this is a picture of me, right? So I'm the most famous Asian cowboy, supposedly, and there's dollar bills with my face on it because someone knows that I like to talk about the $1 a day, so they made this thing. And they know I like chicken wings and Frisbee, so they put, 1 in each hand. I can't even ride this horse if I'm holding both of these things in this way, right? Other people are tagging us.
Unicorn.
Oh, that
was a unicorn.
Larry Kim. Yeah, that's a unicorn. Yeah, sorry. That means I don't exist either if it doesn't exist. So you're always sharing other people's content, not your own content. Very rarely do you ever actually say anything. So here, Logan posted this a little bit earlier. How do you compete on Facebook with only $1 a day? Here's what's going on with Isaac and how he got famous. We'll talk about that in just a second, right? You're always sharing other people because you want to make them look good because then they will reciprocate and they will make you look good. Have you mapped out your network of the people that believe in you the most, of the customers that just no matter what, they'll say, oh yes, these guys are amazing, right? I hang out with Peter and we like to eat bitter balls together. What is it that you like to do? Who is it that you have on your side so that you are maintaining these kinds of relationships? That's the key of what you have to do. And when you create lots and lots of these 1-minute videos with these other people, they're not going to say no. Look, I just have 5 questions, 5 minutes. We'll arrange this in advance. Keep all this stuff inside YouTube. Then we upload it to Facebook. We boost it for $1 a day off of these public figure pages. Then you have all the magic that happens because now you have control over a whole community of sites. So Logan has a public figure page. Here, he spoke at Social Media Marketing World. Yeah, you guys know that? If you're in social media, this is the conference you're supposed to speak at. This is the one, right? And of course, he posts summaries of what he has learned and interesting things. Here he is, sport. He's a big fan of football. So here he is with the Oakland Raiders.
American football.
Oh yeah, we also have other football teams, both kinds of football. We also like the Golden State Warriors, yeah? So here I am with the Golden State Warriors. So you're sharing these things without making it sound like you're bragging, right? That's the key. It's a fine line. Be careful, have to be careful about that. And when you have these videos and articles that you boost from your public figure page or other public figure pages that you manage, then it's easy to build a community across. This is the key slide, by the way. Pay attention. You have to build this whole community. You see this outside ring of all these people's faces? These are all people that have agreed to be part of, they believe in something. We've incepted them. Because we're building their brand, and when we build their brand, they build our brand. So for example, job creation for young adults. These people are talking about that. They're authoritative, right? And that goes into these different topics. The topics then go into our platform, which is what we sell. The why is the most outside layer. These are the stories that resonate. This is why marketers suck so bad, because they don't know how to tell the stories from their users, from their community. When you have these stories that go into topics, which is the how. How do you do something? What are the problems? Think about the product or service that you sell. What is the problem that you are solving? And can you break that down into the particular issues so then they want your product? Don't ever talk about your product first. Autopilot's fantastic. I can drag and drop and all of this, all these sorts of things. But HubSpot and Infusionsoft have a drag and drop builder too for campaigns. And I could argue that certain things are better than another. You don't want to go into that. You want to tell the stories of how these other people are successful and how they overcame and the particular issues that they solved. And they happen to be using Autopilot because you have 1-minute videos on the outside from other people's sites that you're boosting that eventually come to your site, that come to a lead magnet, that go to, maybe it's a conference. There's many ways to bring people from the outside all the way into the center of this. So when you map this for yourself, this is the power of your content library. Your content library is not sequentially what you're doing in May, June, July, August. I need 5 blog posts per week, or I need 10 tweets per day. That's just a waste of time. That is quantity instead of quality. When you arrange this way, you have built inception because there is no fingerprint on any of the work that you do. It is always someone else's word, what someone else has to say. And we have so many of these. I'll give you one more and then Logan will share some things. Let's say, for example, you guys know USA Today? Big magazine, or big, I think it's the #1 newspaper, right, in the United States. And this occurred just, I think, 2 days ago? A few days ago. USA Today asked FBI to probe rise in fake Facebook followers. And the reporter reached out to us and said, hey, how does this work? And so I go on and on and on and on about how does this work, right? That creates authority. Of course, you have to be careful because if we say anything too bad about Facebook, they're going to call and get mad, and then they don't want to come to the conference, or they don't want to continue to interview and produce content with us. But this is where a lot of the power occurs, because all you have to do is get one thing in here. Oops, there's this one. Oh, not that one. The Facebook seeks more paid ads. This was 5 years ago. It's still producing power. Advertisers' free ride may end on Facebook, right? So when a reporter from the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal or whatever magazine, TV, newspaper, radio sees this on the Wall Street Journal, on Forbes, on all these other places, on the Infusionsoft blog, they see it, here on Facebook, they are like us. They are rationally ignorant, intellectually lazy. So if someone else has said it, they've already done the homework, it must be good. And all you need is that one seed, and that you can amplify and create lots and lots of variants. It's very, very easy to build a network in a certain area. So when we produce lots of videos with Josh Fector, and then we bring in these other people, and we have tons and tons of these kinds of videos where we're uplifting other people, their brand becomes your brand. Their list becomes your list. And as a growth hacker, you have to be thinking 5, 6, 7 steps ahead. Facebook is the ultimate vehicle to do this because that's where the data is, because that's where you're building remarketing audiences. You follow me on this? Okay, so that said, Logan's turn.
All right, you care if I take from the computer?
You talk, I'll drive.
Okay. So we've been talking about Inception, doing things a few steps ahead. Some of you might be wondering, well, that's a little bit far for me. What's the actual first step if I don't know where I'm at or which step to take? So the first step you need to take before you start doing all these other things is to use video on Facebook. So let's go to either Isaac or the post I made earlier. I was just browsing earlier. We do Facebook ads. I'm kind of an ad geek, so I like to actually look at ads on Facebook, see what other people are doing. And is anyone in here a big Marvel fan with superheroes? You can see the new Wonder Woman movies coming out soon. I see a few hands. So I saw a preview for Wonder Woman when I was in an Uber, and I was looking at some of the stats on it rather than actually watching the preview in terms of the video views and stuff. And this huge Hollywood trailer got less views and less engagement than our buddy Isaac. And it's incredible because I know it's a boosted post, and it's got a lot of money going against it. We've worked with a mattress company that spent over $25K on Facebook a day, and they were mostly local. And that was mattresses. So I can guarantee you Hollywood, when they're putting out stuff for movies, they're putting a lot of money against it. Isaac puts almost no money against his thing. Isaac made some videos. We told him boost it for $1 a day. He's like, $1 per day. Let me ask my wife if I can spare that budget, you know. So it's not like we boosted our way there with a ton of cash. But the reason his story was able to beat out the Hollywood story and have more engagement, more views, is because of the way and the nature of Facebook. And anybody can have the success. Who in here has seen this video? This is Isaac. He's talking with his son Bodhi about being bullied. Have any of you guys seen this on Facebook? Raise the hands, high in the air. A few? Wow. In the States, like everyone. Yeah.
Women have seen it.
So this is Isaac. He talks about his son getting bullied. We told him to make these 1 minute videos. It's just him on an iPhone. He doesn't have any professional microphone, any professional lighting. And he started getting a ton of pickup on this video. It got shared all over the place. And we can see we did put money against it because Dennis talked briefly about some of the stats, you know, view through rate, average watch time. Those are all Facebook's way of giving you signals. When you post a video, we talk about 6 seconds as the average. If it's higher than that, if it's north of 10 seconds, that's pretty good. North of 15 is really good. You know, that Ty Lopez one was 55 seconds because he talks about whatever his Lamborghini and stuff, and people stick around. But anything even north of 10 is basically Facebook telling you, like, hey, like, you have something like kind of a winner, like maybe put some spend against it. So Isaac knew he had a winner with his posts, and when you have a winner, what are you going to do? This is where we start talking about inception, you know, thinking a few steps ahead. Now, first, you want to get some engagement on it. So we boosted it to people who are parents or who have children or who care about being bullied, some of these different issues. And after it gets some traction, you really want something to blow up. You really want to get inception, and this is what Dennis was talking about. The way we do this is by targeting people that work in the media. So you target based off where they work and also their job title. So you can target journalists, producers, broadcasters, anchors, all these different things. So look at all these targets. These are all like one mass media target that we've put together and we use time and time again. So news writer, producer, features, and then it's also people that work at Forbes, NBC, CSN, all these different places, CNN. And when you have something with high engagement and you send out to the media like this, it starts getting picked up. So let's go through some, and you guys can see some of the channels that picked up Isaac's video that he made just in his bathroom using an iPhone. It's just telling a simple story. It's a little 1 minute video. That's so key is the story. It's genuine. You know, if it looks or smells or tastes like an ad, it's not going to perform well. But if it looks organic and real, even if it's not well done, people will respect it more and actually engage with it because people just don't want to engage with ads. He's made all these follow-up posts. The power of Facebook is doing sequencing, where if you have someone who's seen video A, you show them video B and C and D, etc. So Isaac's continuing to make more posts around this topic, which is part of his topic wheel we've been talking about. But we can see Love What Matters, 500,000 views. That's the channel that picked it up. I think China Times, it got picked up internationally in China. They put some Chinese subtitles on it, so I don't know what it's saying, but let's see. There should be some more in here too. Oh, this has led to him getting speaking engagements too. It's another thing with boosting to the media. I mean, any business goal you have, he wants to speak more, he manages personal brands. BuzzFeed, you guys heard of BuzzFeed? Probably watched some of their videos. So BuzzFeed picked him up, 11 million views. So that's huge, right? We didn't reach out to BuzzFeed. I mean, you know, they reached out to us. Let's look at the average watch time, 36 seconds. So we said 6 seconds was average on Facebook. You want to do 1 minute videos, you have to hook them in right away in the first 3 seconds, otherwise you're going to lose them. 36 seconds is just amazing. You know, anything north of 15 is just fantastic. Facebook's just like trying to tell you like you have a clear winner. Ellen Nation, Ellen DeGeneres, she picked it up. Lad Bible picked it up. So this thing's getting tons and tons of traction. And all this comes from what we've been talking about. The first step you do, you know, moving the pawns is 1 minute video. Making a lot of them in cycle, in tests, on your iPhone. Doesn't have to be professional. Doesn't have to take a long time. All those videos we made with Josh Vector, we knocked out like 10 or 15 of those in a 30-minute span, you know. It doesn't have to be this huge ordeal. It's just posting it on Facebook. If people don't like it, then that's fine. Facebook won't show it to anybody anyways. It'll get no reach and no one will see it. So there's no risk. If people do like it, then Facebook will show it to people, and it'll be great. So that's the first step. Make lots of these. We've seen maybe 1 in 5 will be a winner. Maybe less, might be 1 in 10. Oh, and Mike, that was a big one. I got like 5 million. Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, no, hang on. I'll get there. I accidentally clicked on it. Keep talking.
So the next step, so, is then when you find your winners, you boost them to the media. Whatever niche you're in, you have certain influencers within that niche, whether it's cooking, fashion, fitness, digital marketing. Any niche has influencers that if they pick you up and they share your thing, if Ellen shares Isaac's video, it's so much more powerful and so much more authority than Isaac just sharing it or some random person for obvious reasons, right?
Got 400,000 shares on this one reshare. Do you guys see this? Because the story's so powerful. There's 300,000 likes, but more important, there's 400,000 shares. I don't care about the 26 million views. He's gotten over 70 million views. He's so internet famous that he can't go to the mall or restaurant and sit down with other people coming up to him wanting to take a selfie. He has to worry about the safety of his kids because these shares count for 13 times more than a like or a comment, right? Facebook's algorithm is taking this into account. So when you have a video view that is only 6 seconds versus 20 seconds, the algorithm is taking that into account. You've got to be putting content out there that is getting tons of engagement, and not because it's cat photos, not because it's Donald Trump, but because it's so relevant to that particular audience, they can't help but want to engage with that. You guys hear me? Yeah? I know I'm yelling at you. Ashley, wait, you take it. Is this one working too? Okay, good.
Dual mics.
So let's not miss the key point here in terms of lead gen and SaaS. Like, how many folks are SaaS companies, right? You have a monthly product, this kind of thing. You might be thinking, oh, this doesn't relate because, this is some kind of viral video. This is a one-off kind of thing. Absolutely not. This works in every single category. And we've done it in so many places to demonstrate that these same principles work. We're not selling you any software, right? We're not saying that there's some magic thing that you need to do and buy our course for $97 and I'll tell you all the secrets on how to get rich in 20 days. No, we're showing you that there are fundamental techniques behind how does Facebook decide what shows up. It's when you have a super high relevancy. How do you do that? When you have really high authority content. This is what you need to understand on what content. See, people ask all the time, oh yeah, what's good content? You should make good content. How do you make high authority content? These are the 3 components of authority. Want to talk about them, me?
Yeah, so there's 3 basic components. The first is the content. We've been talking about that quite a bit at length. Is it performing well? Content, like Dennis said, if it has high watch time, these different things, it has more authority than something that doesn't, and also the nature of it, who's saying it. The other components is the people saying it, where it's being said. Again, if Ellen DeGeneres is talking about Isaac's content, his story, that has a lot more authority than just Isaac talking about himself. If Facebook publishes a case study about Blitz Metrics, about Dennis knowing something about Facebook ads, well, that has a lot more high authority than just Dennis talking about himself or beating on his own chest. And that goes into the last one, which is the property. So where it's being published. If you have some throwaway blog, anybody could create a WordPress and then take some high piece authority content. I could take Isaac's video and share it on my WordPress blog that has no followers, and that's not going to do anything because it's a low authority property. It has nothing going on for it. But if you share it on the Lad Bible or any of these other channels that are a high authority property, and you have high authority content shared by high authority people, you have the trifecta. And that's what you want to look for, especially as you're boosting to influencers. Oh, this is what we're talking about when we do live. Yeah, these people. Sometimes people in the audience start trolling us and purposely sending us messages, so please don't do that. But yeah, yeah, the game is on. No. So this is another one. And while he's pulling this up, too, it all goes back to stories. So I'm from America. How many of you guys have been to America? How many of you guys thought it was kind of like a letdown, like a little bit boring? So being in Europe, there's like a lot more culture, at least for me. Like America is like all new age. Like there's no history there. When you're in Europe, there's all these like side streets and there's like, cobblestone roads and stuff. Everything's telling you a story. And that's why Western Europe has a draw to tourists to come there and eat at these cafes and stuff. Because the floor and the buildings and with the jaded colors, it's all basically telling you some story. In America, there's no story going on. Facebook is the same way. You need to amplify behind your brand, whether it's SaaS or B2B, or you're trying to sell t-shirts, or you're trying to build your personal brand or get speaking engagements, whatever it is, you have some general mission. or some passion. Behind that is some stories. You know, what drove you to that? Why is that your mission? Why is that the mission of your company or your brand? And that's what we need to amplify, is those stories. So we have an example here. This happened a few weeks ago.
This next story is anyone's nightmare. A neighbor's dog running into your home, biting you, and then attacking your dog.
The beginning of the frightening scene, of course, captured on doorbell video. Central Utah Specialist Sam Penrod is live where it all went down in Orem tonight. Sam?
Dave and Deanie, it all happened very fast here at this apartment complex yesterday morning. A man went to the hospital with a serious bite to his hand. His dog had to go to the vet, and the dog that attacked is in the shelter tonight and may be put down.
I was just leaving to go to church.
But Logan Young wasn't ready for what happened as he left his apartment yesterday morning.
Just opened the door, dog's right there. I tried to stop it, bites me, bolts into the living room.
Video shows the boxer get away from a boy who can be seen chasing his dog with a leash. You can hear the commotion inside.
I mean, it's the most unexpected thing you can think of. You just open the door and boom, dog there, try and stop it, it's in your apartment, and then you hear your dog screaming. It hurt. You guys think that's funny, huh? Losing your thumbnail really hurts. Imagine waiting for your fingernail to grow like this far. Anyways. But so it was a crazy incident. So I'm just leaving Easter morning, going to church. I open the door. This dog bursts into my apartment. So the dog was not on a leash. And it had been mean to my dog before. I recognized the dog right away. I tried to stop it. Bit me in the thumb. Bit my thumbnail off. This whole, dramatic scene, and then we're getting all these trolls on Facebook like, oh, well, you probably had food in your apartment that was luring the dog in, and what were you doing with your door open, like all this nonsense. Like, I was leaving my apartment, is that allowed, or, do I have that freedom? But the thing behind it was there's like a story, because the cops got involved, of course, and they basically said, well, there's nothing we can really do. We told the owner to keep it on the leash next time, and that's kind of it. I'm like, this guy lives right down the hall from me. I don't want to continue seeing his dog, it's terrifying. He's going to attack me or my dog again, the dog should be put down or something. So we had this story. We thought something needs to be changed. This dog should be put on a leash. If it's not on a leash, there should be some consequences. We had video, so we amplified the story, first to get engagement to people that like dogs and pit bulls in specific. And then once it got engagement, once it got traction, we switched it to a media audience. And then we had all these news channels calling us. So we're on the radio, KSL, which is big in the States, in Utah. It's a top story, Fox News. And that all came through this inception thing, through thinking a few steps ahead. So any goal you have for your business or in general, the goal here was to get more awareness about keeping your dog on a leash and having consequences. If a dog bites someone, you can use this inception tactic, this Facebook for $1 a day, amplifying stories to reach that goal or reach that objective. So we talk about this quite a bit at length. We've actually made a lot of formulas. We talk so much about Facebook that we've made formulas about how to make a 1-minute video and how to make a why video. So to make a why video, there's 3 components. The first is, most people start off a video, they're like, I'm Logan, I work for Blitz Metrics. They introduce themselves. So right away, you're dropping your audience in the first 3 seconds because nobody cares about who you are or what you do or what your job is. They care about the story, the why behind it. So you start off right in the middle of the story, when I was blankety blank. So my story is, when I was 16, I worked at a Subway and I got held up at gunpoint. And when I was in high school, my first job I worked at was at a Subway. I worked with this girl I really liked, and we talked a lot, but I never really did anything about it. I was a little bit nervous to approach her. One night, a crazy thing happened. I'm sitting there on break. I see this guy walking by outside. He has a hat on and a bandana covering his face, and I'm thinking to myself, what is this guy doing? He comes in the store, walks right up to me, pulls out a gun, puts it right on my neck, and he tells me to get all the money out of the safe. I go back around, we kind of go back and forth for a little bit, he throws a few punches, he's pretty upset. Eventually he leaves with the money out of the drawer because I can't get into the safe. I won't say it was the scariest moment of my life, but it was definitely the most surreal moment of my life. It changed things a little bit. After that, I asked that girl out to be my girlfriend. She's my first girlfriend in high school. It was awesome, and it's led me to some different beliefs I have today. I work at Blitz Metrics right now. I manage events. I also work with some different small clients, building their personal brands, managing their...
Did you see that?
Yeah, so, and it was just funny. We were in Australia a few weeks ago, and we talked about one of our clients is USCCA. They have guns, and no one in Australia owns a gun, apparently, so they were all amazed. But yeah, in America, people have guns, so someone held me up at gunpoint. But the first part of the why story is when I was, so it gets right into it. And then it leads to some belief after, what's your takeaway from that story, from that event that happened when you were a kid and this happened, when you were bullied? It doesn't have to be some dramatic thing either. It can just be a normal occurrence. But when I was, X has happened. Oh, here's Isaac's. Yeah, this is good.
That dramatically.
So you've got to be able to segue your live video into what you sell. Because if you come out and try to sell your stuff right away, people know they're being sold. They don't want to hear that. Okay? So you have other people say their why. And the why is how you get people's interest, and then they care about your issue and how, and this is true for all the motivational speakers. Oh, when I was 18, I was going to commit suicide and I was so poor, but then this whole thing happened to me and now I have lots of Ferraris and I'm rich and then I want to share this with you. But that's the same three-part story arc. Just because other people are abusing that technique doesn't mean that it's something that you can't use, right? We think that things like fire can burn people, but fire can cook a delicious steak. Fire can cook your bitter balls that you're going to have when you walk around the canals and go to the bars tonight, right? So just because other people are abusing the technique doesn't mean the technique is wrong. The technique of the why video is, when I was 15, this whole thing happened to me, and oh my goodness, it was so emotional, and this is what I learned from it. This is how I overcame the problem. When you sell a product or a service, you have overcome some kind of problem that you have made software around. But before you made the software, you had to struggle with some kind of pain, like the oyster had the sand that became a pearl eventually, right? You had to overcome this challenge, this struggle, and you had to do it initially manually, but then after seeing this problem so many times, you said, I want to help the community. I'm going to make software to solve this. I'm going to start a company because this one thing is so valuable to me. It's my Kickstarter story, right? This kind of thing. You have to build that emotional layer into it. That's how people start off. And then you say, and because of this, and now I want to give back, and I made this software, I started this company, the whole founder story. You know the founder story. They all, in hindsight, you can tell this kind of thing that makes sense, 2020, right? Then you can talk about, then this is what our software does. And it does this because I've overcome this stuff myself. And that's how you get these videos to work. Let's see if I can make this bigger. Oh, it's small, hold on. Here we go. So this is Isaac. He runs the personal brands at GoDaddy. You guys know GoDaddy, right? GoDaddy used to be in trouble for doing things like shooting elephants and having. I think they still have two car racing teams that they sponsor. The Super Bowl ads, all this kind of stuff. So he's in charge of all of the brands of the CEO, all the executives, all of their different employees, and thus us to incept GoDaddy. We're incepting the guy who's in charge of all the brands, who then is teaching all the employees and all their partners. You see how we're playing this 5 steps ahead?
It changed my life forever. I come home from work and my wife tells me that she's pregnant, and shortly after that we find out she's actually pregnant with identical twin boys. I felt like I just won the lottery. I had their careers picked out, I had their colleges picked out, the classes they were going to take, the clubs they were going to join. It was perfect. And then the delivery day came. So the first boy is born. The nurse says something that destroys me. She says, he's not breathing. All these plans, all these things that I had built up in my mind, they didn't matter anymore. And all I wanted to do was rush over there and pick him up and tell him, breathe, buddy, breathe. And I learned in that moment that I had forgotten so much of what was important, the living in the moment.
My boys are now 9 years old, and it is amazing watching them learn new things every day and become these great young men. And the difference is, instead of thinking about, I wonder if they're going to get a football scholarship, taking the time to just enjoy throwing a football with them. That's the difference.
And that is why I am so passionate about helping people take those first steps. Here's the deal, you're never going to have enough money to do what you want to do. You're never going to have the right plan. You're never going to have the right timing. You just have to go for it, and you have to live in that moment. Plan for the future, but enjoy the steps that it takes to get there and be conscious in that moment. I work at GoDaddy, and I help our employees build up their personal brand, and I want to help you achieve your goals.
So that's Isaac's why video. That's what laid the foundation for all his other videos. You notice he didn't lead with his resume, talk about how he worked at GoDaddy. He led with his story. We know we only have a few minutes left, so we talk about at every conference video for Facebook and every podcast, everyone wants to know, how do I use video on Facebook? And we want you guys all, I guess our main wish, we want to leave some time for Q&A, but we challenge you guys to make a 1-minute video, make your why video, tell your story or the story of your brand, your product, or whatever it is, and put it on Facebook with some other 1-minute videos and just see how it performs and start building off that and let it get some traction. And for Isaac, it's led to him getting speaking opportunities, opportunities to travel. Like I mentioned, he's got picked up with all these subsequent videos he's made. So, he just did it. He just made the iPhone, took him a few takes, but he did his why video, these other videos. And for him, video on Facebook, like it does for everybody, if you do it right, and if you pay attention to the signals Facebook's giving you, has worked. So I don't know if we want to talk about AMP for a little bit and take some questions. I think we only have like 10 minutes left. Or
You're a journalist. Don't pretend. We're all in sales when you're a small company. But as journalists, we have authority. And so when we ask other people for their opinion, they're obliged to say yes. Because when you reach out to other people and say, hey, I've got this article that I need to publish by 5 o'clock on Friday. Can you give me one sentence on what you think about this one thing that happened in the industry? Of course they're going to say yes. You combine all those things together and you have a listicle. You have an article that you can share. Better is at a conference like this, you have peers that are authoritative in certain topics. You say, hey, Clayton, I know you're really knowledgeable about SEO. I have this one question about SEO that my audience really cares about. And then we take this and boost it from his page or our page. When you're a journalist and you assemble these topics in advance, then you're able to do what Mark Lack is able to do. So here he's interviewing, this guy's a billionaire. I've never even heard of this guy. I guess there's so many billionaires, it doesn't matter. And he's interviewing, who is this guy? This other guy sold all these books. All these people have made all this money. Let's see if I can find some of them that are a little more interesting than that. What 500 interviews taught Mark Lack about success? So now he manages a TV show, right, where he interviews all of these famous, successful business people, which of course generates income for him because he's selling a personal branding course, and he also gets paid for all this consulting. Have you heard of this guy, Damon John? Shark Tank, right? So here he is, he's interviewing this guy, but let's watch a little bit of this, and then I want to bring it back to what you guys can do. Oh, is the internet slow? Can we not play this? Oh, no.
I'm stuck in a parking lot.
Well, I'll just tell you what they're going to say. So he has already incepted Damon John because he sent over the list of questions around how do you become successful as an entrepreneur by building your brand, and he's gotten Damon John to agree with the principles that he's laid out in advance. Because why would Damon John say no? Because Mark's going to say, of course it makes sense that you're going to build your public figure page, you're going to communicate with your audience, you're going to do these particular steps. If you have taken your knowledge that has been the core to build your software or product or whatever it is that you sell into a checklist, you will quickly and very easily be able to find other people that are willing to agree with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is the way that you should solve this particular problem, right? If you are not openly sharing that in the same way that we have this kind of checklist, we believe that these are the 6 phases to using Facebook properly to be able to drive things at scale, right? Plumbing, all of the Google Tag Manager, all the different tags, remarketing, UTM parameters, all of these bits. Goals at different stages in the funnel. You should have this sheet, by the way. Content that's associated together in your topic wheel. So if you watch Isaac's video or Logan's video or we watch your why video, maybe Eric says, yes, I do single grain because I saw all these small businesses were getting screwed over by consultants. Whatever it is, there's a story, right? Then the next thing, what's that next video they need to watch? When you have a sequence of these 1-minute videos, then it's, hey, here's the 5 mistakes I see when people set up their PPC campaigns. I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. I need to hire Eric. I need to talk to one of his people and have them manage my PPC campaigns. Oh, I need to talk to Clayton because I've seen him talk to other people that I know are very important, right, in the PPC SEO world, right? So content has that authority because you've tied it together topically with other people that count. And then you target these against, like what Logan was talking about, audiences that are going to resonate because it's that person's audience plus the media audience. Then you amplify it, which is boosting it for $1 a day, and then you continue tuning it, which is optimization, which is keeping that spreadsheet together, which is delegating things out to things like Amazon, Fancy Hands, all of onlinejobs.ph. However you're doing things, how do you say thank you at scale? How do you collect and maintain this content library and engine at scale? You don't need a lot of money. You just need a VA, maybe a few hours per week. Whatever your way is to hustle. Maybe someone from the high school, you pay them $5 an hour, €5 an hour, whatever the minimum wage is, right? And that's how you maintain these, because if you try to do this yourself, we know, because we've given this talk enough times in different ways, that you probably agree with the techniques that we're talking about. You'll find that it's interesting, but you're not going to take action because you're so busy doing all these other things. You need to find some kind of personal assistant or VA or whatever that will spend the 3 or 4 hours per week, or however much content you have. We have 4 or 5 people that do this full time, and all they do is they're collecting mentions. So you can see we have these mentions of all the people that are saying good things, right? Jeff Bullis, great to catch up with Dennis, the awesome king of Facebook ads in Lisbon, where we were. We just flew in from there this morning at 5 o'clock this morning, right? You'll have all of these things that are, I bet you have amazing things that are occurring. People are saying good things about you, and you're missing them. What a shame. You could have hit a home run in the dark, and you didn't even notice. Because somewhere there on Twitter or Facebook or wherever, someone said something positive about you that you're not keeping in this library. I know this is true because it was only by accident I noticed that these articles get published. Like, oh, shit. Like Logan was on TV and these other people said, hey, did you know, like, was it your mom or whatever, people that actually watch TV when the evening news comes on and he's the top story, right? You've got to have, it's not the sexy, oh, look at me, I'm now this celebrity. It's 99% of the work is this mundane collection of content, putting things into different sequences, the optimizing of things and boosting and trying different audiences and the testing and the tuning. That's what it's all about. That's why if you remove the sexy, it's actually very simple and it's very checklist driven. All the work that is done for the high profile clients that we have, including setting up all the ads for Marketo and guys like that you think are very sophisticated, all that work is done by young adults, believe it or not, not me. Because it's all driven down to checklists. So think about how you produce content. Think about what you do. Can you boil it down to a checklist, especially in marketing? If you can't, I would say it's too difficult. And you have not broken it down simply enough. So our exhortation to you is go through these steps as best you can. Most people, you share your best secrets. Us that are public speakers, we know this. You share your secrets and people say, oh, that's really interesting, but then they don't do anything about it. It's like their New Year's resolution. Right? We were trying to convince you, please try this. 1-minute videos that are sequenced together into a topic wheel, right? Like this. 1-minute videos, $1 a day, topic wheel, right? Content library. Do those things. Don't forget those 3 things. There's lots of other nuances about how do you set a strategy, how do you use Google AMP to be able to get more search results, and how do you blend search and social together. We can talk about all those cool little hacking sorts of tricks, but don't forget the basics. 1-minute videos, $1 a day, content library, yeah?